welcome to the Oil Stream. Happy Friday. So I'm Gazzola, Reid Wilkins with you inside the EST Global HQ. You can text us 780-218-9999. Get to the nasty chat as well. The Oil Stream presented by Boston Pizza. Of course, EST presented by Play Alberta. Hernan Salas, nicely done, big boy. Nicely done. Reid, Rick, how are you?
Oh, I'm doing great, Tom. How are you?
I almost don't believe you.
Why?
Because I thought that was like a very strong and facetious. I'm doing great, Tom. How are you?
No, I am doing quite well.
Okay, I'm very happy to hear that. Very happy to hear that.
And if I'm not, no one cares.
Holy smokes. Well, I'm glad you're doing great. What?
No, go ahead.
Oh, no, you go ahead.
I'm putting together the all-time greatest American hockey team of all time. Like I did
to celebrate what now?
The July 4th day.
Ah, yes.
So they call it Independence Day.
They do now. What did they break away from?
I don't know. They were under the British thumb or something. Yeah.
Oh, weird. When did this happen? Last year?
1700 something.
Oh, geez, that long. I'm just
kidding. It was a while ago.
Now I'm being facetious.
It was a while ago.
I'm being facetious.
Because I put together the all-time Canadian roster on Monday.
Canada Day.
In Canada Day. I upset a couple people.
Why?
Dustin Nielson. Because I had Connor McDavid on the quote-unquote fourth line.
How do people not recognize that on a team like that, it doesn't matter what line they're on?
No, well, I just did it in order. And quite frankly, seniority mattered. So I was going to list Gretzky and Howe on higher lines than Connor McDavid.
Yes.
And Mario.
Yes.
Because McDavid's not done his career. Though I did put Makar on the top D pairing with Bobby Orr. Can you imagine that?
That would be amazing.
You'd have to split them up probably.
Yeah, but who would play defense on that pairing? Both guys would be rushing the puck nonstop, right?
Well, I didn't see Bobby Orr in his prime, but Makar can play good defense. I mean, Paul Coffey, you might be able to say that about him.
Yeah.
Actually, I'd put him on the team as well.
Paul Coffey's good to quite good. Actually, he was a superstar.
Yeah, he was outstanding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So tell me about the feedback you got from this.
I didn't get very much, actually. A couple people emailed me their rosters. It was more just Dustin retweeted it and was like, hey, everybody, look. Reid's going to get torched for having McDavid on the fourth line.
And then
just a couple people.
Oh,
Maybe there was more since then.
Oh.
But I had McDavid with Trottier and Bossy. That's a pretty good line.
That's a outstanding line.
I made a huge mistake.
How?
I made a huge mistake that we corrected during my show. I left Maurice Richard off the team.
Okay. Why is that a huge mistake? Like, he is a legend of the game.
Because he's one of the greatest goal scorers of all time.
Correct.
So I bumped off Bobby Hull and put Maurice Richard on.
But Bobby Hull is also one of the greatest players of all time.
Well, that's the fun part of this experiment.
Yeah.
Okay, here was my team. Gretzky, now you have to have centers playing the wing. And then I thought and then I tried to think about who might actually work well together and make a line that could have some sort of a role or an identity. Gretzky centers Phil Esposito and Mario. Now, you could easily put Lemieux on it. He could probably drive a line if he had to.
Yes.
Howe between Messier and Hull, but now Richard is there. So Howe with Messier and Rocket Richard.
That would be a very difficult line physically to play it.
I think the Rocket, whether it's Rocket or Bobby Hull, you'd probably have some of that element too.
Also, Rocket or Bobby Hull, those guys weren't afraid to hurt you as well.
Right.
Like even Rocket was
That's what I'm saying. Like what's the identity of each line? Yzerman centering Crosby and Lafleur.
Well, that line will just outskill you and outwork you.
And then Trottier centering McDavid and Bossy.
And then that line's just all phenomenal. Although Trottier, I guess, Trottier was kind of a jack of all trades.
He was like an incredible all-around player.
Yeah, and more so became a defensive specialist later in his career.
He still
with
had
Pittsburgh.
a ton of points. Oh yeah, with the early '90s Pittsburgh, he was more of like a glue guy, so to speak, and checking.
70s, 80s, he was an offensive dynamo.
And then my extra forwards were Beliveau and Sakic.
Wow.
But again, that was I left Richard off the team. Defense, Orr with Makar, Coffey with Bork, Potvin with Harvey, and Larry Robinson's the extra.
I don't know Doug Harvey.
I know, but that's the thing. I mean, I could have put Auriel Joliat on the team.
Who can forget
Joe Malone or Howie Moran. Like, you don't know. It's hard to do it. But by reputation, I was like, everybody says Harvey, and he won multiple Norris trophies.
Okay.
Goaltenders, Brodeur, Waugh, and Plante. Obviously, Glenn Hall would be a strong consideration as well. I didn't name a coach. Probably Scotty Bowman or Toe Blake.
But no Punch Imlach.
Glenn Sather even. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. What about Pat Quinn?
Maybe.
Sure.
Was he the coach? Who was the coach of the 02 team?
Pat Quinn.
It was Pat Quinn.
Yeah.
And then Babcock in 10 and 14.
Yes.
And then we haven't played in the Olympics since.
That is correct.
And in 06, it
was Pat Quinn, I think.
Was it Quinn again?
Yeah, that was Torino, where they built a team that was more geared towards NHL-sized ice as opposed to international-sized ice, and it killed them. That was a disappointing Olympic result for Canada.
Oh, big time.
Just in general, like they were not good, that team. A lot of the same players that were there in 02. Some new, but a lot of the same.
Yeah, geez, I have trouble remembering everybody
It
on
was
that
not
team
a
now.
memorable team.
And there was a World Cup in 04 as well.
Which had a lot of the same guys
Right.
from 02.
Yeah.
And Canada continued its dominance at that World Cup. Lemieux played in it.
He's an awesome player.
Yeah.
Boy, the American team would be pretty good as well. It would have definitely all the players would be since 1980, if not since 1990.
Well, who was a great American player prior to 80 that we really looked at and was like...
Well, that's the thing. I remember even I want to say the 81 Canada Cup. I bet you there were NCAA players on that team.
Neil Broughton.
They wouldn't have, in the 81 Canada Cup, the United States wouldn't have had 20 NHL players
right.
to put on the international team.
And like if somebody goes, well, what about Micah Ruzioni? He scored a great goal for Canada.
For the States, yeah.
Or pardon me, for the United States, Miracle on Ice. But it's not like he was a superstar player. Did he even get a cup of coffee in the NHL?
I don't think he did. The goalie did, Craig, right?
Yeah, John Craig.
And
Ken Morrow was on that team.
Obviously had a pretty good NHL career.
Yeah, slid right into the Islanders lineup.
Eruzione played 0 NHL games.
Yeah. Was Gary Suter was on that team?
1979-80 U.S. Olympic team.
Joel Otto? Or is he too young?
No. Names we would know. Neil Broughton, Mark Pavlich, Dave Christian.
Dave Christian was a good NHLer for a while.
Mike Ramsey.
Not Craig.
Not Craig, but I think, wasn't Mike in the NHL? Let me click here.
Was Joe Mullen?
Oh, yeah. Mike Ramsey played over 1,000 games in the NHL.
What about Joe Mullen?
I don't think he was on that team. No, he wasn't on the 80 team. Jim Craig was the goalie.
Jim Craig, sorry.
Yeah, I'm just clicking on names. So that was their Olympic team. So the 81, I'm just using the Canada Cup as an example because that's something I can remember watching. I don't remember watching in 1980. There was a Jack Hughes on that team who played briefly for the Colorado Rockies. So, yeah, anyway, I don't know what you want to talk about, but it's just fun putting this team together.
Who's
the greatest American hockey player of all time?
The greatest American hockey player of all time? Jeez. Like Brett Hull kind of doesn't count because he's actually Canadian.
Well, I'm counting him for the purposes of the team.
Yeah.
I'm going to try to put together over the course of the show.
Yeah, no, I understand that.
Because somebody said, why isn't Brett Hull on the Canadian team? And I was like,
because Canada didn't, if I remember the story correctly, he was shunned by Canada to play for them, but he had dual citizenship and the Americans accepted him onto the team and he was great. I want to say like Mike Modano.
That's actually who I would say. So much for having a debate. I mean, Patrick Kane would be up there. Brett Hull would be up there.
Brian Leach was phenomenal. I don't know. Like Austin Matthews is continuing to write his story, obviously. I think now this era of American hockey player is more prominent and will have more of an impact on the annals of history.
Yes.
If you will.
If you will, for sure I would. Yeah, I would probably put Modano up there.
Yeah, would Chris Chelios factor in?
Oh, that's a good one. Just because he played so long, right? Well, he was very good. Yeah. Don't get me wrong.
He was an all-star. He was a captain. He was a Stanley Cup champion multiple times.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Right? Like, they have had, like, some outs. You could basically take that 96 World Cup roster and just pick one of those, one of their best players and be like, well, that's the best American player as of today. Like, Phil Housley. I know Phil Housley wasn't the best defensive D-man, but his offensive production was through the roof.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm looking at all the American players. I mean, there's been some really good ones, but I've pretty much seen them, all of them play, with only a few exceptions. I mean, if we did the all-time American roster, which I'm going to try to do, I mean, Matthews would have to be on it
already,
and I think even Eichel might have to be on it. Maybe Eichel would be on the quote-unquote fourth line.
Sure.
I mean, I sorted it by points per game. Craig Janney is up there. I wouldn't have Craig Janney on the all-time team.
No.
Just, I mean,
he flamed out, didn't he? Like he was good for a while.
He was just kind of like I hate to say this, he was kind of like a soft player, right? Like he got points, but he wasn't known for being like a rugged all-around player.
Would you think that, wasn't it Mike Keenan that basically ended Craig Janney's career in St. Louis?
Well, it might have been. Wouldn't surprise me. Because wasn't the trade Janney for Oates, and Oates was way better?
Yeah.
At one point, that was a trade. Yeah.
Like Craig Janney was supposed to be, well, he was a star, but it's interesting.
So I think the second line, so if we go Modano with Patrick Kane and Brett Hull, will we not have to go LaFontaine between Matthews and Mullen? I mean, Mullen was awesome.
Yes, he was. Joe Mullen was a 50-goal scorer.
Yep. 502 goals.
Yeah. Did he win the Cup with Calgary in '89? I think he did.
Or was
he with Pittsburgh?
I think both. I think he won it with both teams. And didn't he have like a big neck pad or something like that because he had some issue?
Yeah. I remember that. But he was
Joe Mullen won the Cup in '89, '91, and '92.
That's a great run.
With the '89 Flames, he had 51 goals and 110 points.
Hakan Lube was on that team.
Hakan Lube, was he still there in '89?
I know he scored 50.
Oh, yeah. Hakan Lube was their second leading scorer in '89.
Yeah.
Hakan Lube had a very short career. Yeah, he won the Cup and he went and played in Sweden for 7 years after that. Yeah, Hakan Lube had 50 goals and 106 points in '87-'88 when the Oilers upset the Flames. Not just an upset, like a shocking upset, because that was the sweep. That was one of my favorite goals I've ever seen scored. Gretzky shorthanded in overtime, slap shot over Vernon's shoulder.
The perfect shot.
Like just an elite shot.
Yeah.
And put the Oilers up 2-0 in the series, and it was over.
Yeah.
Because the next two games were at Northlands Coliseum.
That shot, and they have that one low angle from the corner of Wayne winding up and then clapping it, and you could see like it was Vernon, who wasn't the biggest goalie, but he tries to like get a piece of it, and it just like hits the where the crossbar meets, and you're like, that shot was glorious. And then the whoever was the cameraman did a beautiful job with it.
Yeah, that was an incredible series because the Flames had beat the Oilers in '86 in an upset.
Yes,
and plus the own goal in Game 7 to help Calgary advance. So it was kind of like, okay, they'd beaten them, but they weren't maybe better, right? And then in '88, it was like, oh, they're actually better than Edmonton. Like they're favored. Maybe kind of like LA this year,
right?
Though the stakes were a little different and there wasn't the hype of the Battle of Alberta at that time. It was kind of like, no. Like Calgary's better. Like they're legitimately going to take the Oilers down. And not only did Edmonton win, they won it 4 straight.
Yeah. I remember talking to Glenn Anderson about this, and I said, which Cup team of yours was the best? And he said 88. And I was like, why? Like, you guys didn't break records. The regular season record was less than it was in years prior. And he's like, at that point, we had won 3 times. Guys are getting older, they're getting a little bit nicked up. The emphasis wasn't on the regular season, but as soon as we got to the playoffs, we knew how to win. And everybody dialed in.
Well, and they only lost 2 playoff games, right? Didn't they go 16-2?
Never losing at Northlands.
And I think they were a better checking and defensive team that season as well.
Yep.
So probably that's why he's saying that. They just knew how to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, they beat the Jets in 5. They swept the Flames. They beat the Red Wings in 5. And then they beat the Bruins in 4 with the one game that was... And even if Boston had won that game, the Oilers would have won it on home ice the next game. So they would have been 16-3.
The lights going out at Boston Garden.
Yeah. But yeah, that team did not have they were 45-25-11, which is a good record.
Yeah.
But not an incredible record.
Yeah.
For regular season.
Like, I think Gretzky was hurt for part of that year. they were putting up personal
64
records.
games.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So anyway, but he's like, yeah, 88. We had the best team. We would beat all our other teams that won the cup in years past, and even the 90 team. I was like, why? He goes, we just knew how to win. We had everybody. Everyone was confident. Wayne and Mark were great in the playoffs. Everybody around them stepped up. Grant and net. Defense, solid. I'm like, oh, okay.
Grant Fuhr played 75 games that regular season.
So he missed what? 5?
5.
Or didn't start 5?
Didn't appear in 5, I guess.
And that would have been Andy Moog did not.
He was
report.
gone.
Yeah, Bill Ranford.
Played 6 games, had 6 appearances. Daryl Ray had 6 appearances.
Oh.
And another gentleman had 3 appearances.
Mike Zanier.
Warren Skorodensky.
Of course. My bad, Warren.
He had a .720 save percentage.
Okay.
What's he doing nowadays? I don't know.
Find him on LinkedIn.
That would be amazing.
That would be.
Those guys have the best stories. I was talking about that yesterday with JMO and Lieutenant Eric.
They actually do. All right, text us. I'm going to get to some texts here. We got a lot of people sending in their who they thought is the best American hockey player of all time. Of course, the Oil Stream presented by Boston Pizza. Enjoy the new summer feature menu, including the Cherry Cola beef sliders, Cajun chicken Caesar wrap, sweet heat chicken sandwich, fish tacos, pizza flights, and summer pesto chicken pizza. And then they've also got the fish and chips over at BP. Troll says the answer is Pat Kane. Who are the U.S. goalies? Richter, Miller. Those are good ones. Juan.
Who would the goalies be?
Juan says greatest U.S. player, Pat Kane. Timber Woodsman. Isn't it Austin Matthews with a rolling eyes emoji? Reno says Mike Modano. So it is interesting. Collingwood Rob says U.S. D-men. You're forgetting Mark Howe and Matthew Schneider. Those are great ones. Mark Howe, Hall of Famer. Cody Howe's son.
I wouldn't put Schneider on the all-time American team, though. Mark Howe would have a chance.
Okay. Dave Christian and Ken Morrow, Collingwood Rob, given some props, too, as best players of all time. And then Hampton Steve says, good afternoon, gents. I saw the preseason schedule came out today. 8 games again. Ugh.
Yeah, last time,
yeah. Any word on when the regular season schedule will be announced?
Someone told me, but they weren't told. Well, maybe you know, Tom.
I haven't followed up.
Someone told me, but they weren't totally sure that it might not be till July 16th. And I said, haven't there been years it's come out at the draft? And they said, yeah. Maybe that was unusual, and now we're back. Oh, there's split squad, baby.
Oh, that's the worst.
So we only have 7 games to have to worry about covering. Because 2 are at the same time. 2 of the 8 are at the same time.
Well, I mean, we kind of dial it back when it comes to pre- and post-game coverage during the preseason.
Oh, true. But yeah, we'll be down to 4 preseason games after this year, which will be nice.
Yes. I'm looking at, where is this preseason schedule? The team put it out?
Yeah, I got it here. Sunday, September 21st, split squad against the Flames. Tuesday, September 23rd, at Winnipeg. Wednesday, September 24th, home to Seattle. Friday, September 26th, home to Winnipeg. Sunday, September 28th, home to Vancouver.
Mm-hmm.
Then Wednesday, October 1st, and Friday, October 3rd, at Vancouver.
Well, they have one in October 1st is in Seattle.
What did I say?
Vancouver.
Sorry, at Seattle, and then Friday, October 3rd is at Vancouver.
There you go.
My bad.
No, all good. They say the season will begin October 7th, regular season.
But we don't know if the Oilers play that day or not.
Right, we'll find out.
I'd like to see the full schedule come out so we can start thinking about that a little bit. When the games are.
Yeah.
Yeah, the preseason is, I'm glad it's going down to 4 games. And then they made the further rule that the veterans can only play 2 games maximum, which means 2 of the games are going to be absolutely painful to watch, perhaps. Well, I guess they're
a
big
split squad game usually
for the guys
is.
Trying to make the team.
Penner's Pancakes in regard to the American best player of all time. Roenick, Tkachuk, Housley, Waite, Mullen. Definitely some to choose from.
How about this third line I just put together on the American team?
What?
Roenick centering Matthew Tkachuk and Keith Tkachuk.
What? That's 3 a-holes on the ice at the same time.
Yes.
Put them up against the Howe, Messier,
and Richard line. Yeah.
And let's see who wins that one.
That'd be the matchup.
That would be phenomenal.
That'd be amazing. And then I had to put Doug Weight on the team. How about this? Doug Weight with Kevin Stevens and Jack Eichel. Would that line work?
Well, you got the big guy that can crash the net, power forward in Stevens. Then you'd have Doug Weight who would distribute, and then Eichel who can shoot and can distribute. That'd be a good line.
And Doug Weight was not easy to play against.
He was an a-hole.
He was very feisty. I remember those Dallas playoff series and regular season games. But if there was a scrum, he wasn't one of those skilled players where saying, "Okay, I'll be involved until everybody else is here, and then I'll kind of just back off or pair off with another guy." Like he was right in there. He was a very feisty player.
Do you not remember? This was a game in like '96. It was the first year of the Avalanche. They won the cup after they moved from Quebec. But the Avs were here. I believe it ended 3-3. And I remember watching the highlights that night. And I think this is the same game. Doug Weight had a hat trick and got into like a scrap and was like climbing over the glass in the penalty box to get at somebody.
Yeah.
All in the same game. Like he was not afraid. And if I recall correctly, in his last playoff appearance with Edmonton in 2001, he got kicked out of one of those games.
Oh, did he?
For, I think, a hit from behind or something. He was not afraid. He mixed it up.
Yeah.
He was not afraid to get in there.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm looking at his points per game. He's a little lower down than some other guys, but I think he'd have to be on the team.
Later in his career, the production dropped off. Anyway, I love Doug Weight. I thought he was an awesome hockey player to emulate, if you will.
Yeah, I agree.
Mike Comrie, who kind of was like the next skill guy that came in when Doug Weight was still there. Loved Doug Weight. He wore 89 because it looked like 39.
Oh, I never knew that.
Yeah. Right? Like it looks very similar to the.
Oh, yeah, I guess I never knew. And didn't he wear 91 as well?
Yeah, when he came back, because Gagne was
back,
89.
right.
Yeah. I really liked Mike Comrie. I think he's a very nice guy. And I admired him as a hockey player too.
Well, this is fun putting this team together.
I think it's a great exercise.
So my extra forwards will be, I think we should put Neil Broughton on the team. And I'm not just saying this because unfortunately he's passed. I think Johnny Gaudreau should be on the team.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I mean, he could easily jump in for anybody on one of those lines. I got to put together the defense. Leach is a no-brainer for me.
Yeah.
Quinn Hughes has to be on the team.
Okay.
Housley has to be on the team.
Yes.
Like, honestly, guys, I'm going to skip over Lane Hudson because he's only played 84 games. Mark Howe probably should.
You have to have Chelios.
Suter and Chelios.
Yeah.
And then a 7th D.
Brian Rafalski. But he came to the NHL late.
Well, he did get to 833 games.
Yeah. I think he came over when he was like 26.
Here's a shocking stat for you. Tom Curvers had more points per game than Brian Rafalski. You remember Tom Curvers?
I remember
as
Tom
being
Curvers.
an offensive leaning defenseman?
No.
I don't. Yeah, it gets... Well, you could put... no, he doesn't have the points, but you could put Darian Hatcher on the team for meanness.
Yeah. Well, he was a beast. Him and Kevin Hatcher.
But Darian was meaner, right? Darian
was, I think, the more high end. Although Kevin, I think, scored 30 one year with like Washington.
Yeah, he might have. Yeah, but I mean, Bufflin. Okay, we'll put Rafalski as the 7th D.
Pencil him in.
Leach. We didn't do that. Do these guys know Housley shoots right? Does everybody else
left? Housley was a lefty.
Or Chelios shoots right. Chelios shoots right.
Yeah.
Leach with Mark Howe. I'll just do them this way. Leach with Mark Howe. Quinn Hughes with Suter. And Housley with Chelios.
Pretty damn good.
Pretty good. And Rafalski's your 7th.
I have one more question about this Team USA in honor and celebration of the 4th of July with our neighbors to the south. Where's Bill Guerin?
Yeah, I know. He was pretty good, but I don't know if he quite makes the cut with this team. I mean, who does he obviously bump off? I mean, maybe you could say Neil Broughton. I don't fully remember Neil Broughton.
Neither do I. He was the number 1 overall pick, was he not? Neil Broughton?
I think so.
In like 80 or 81?
Was he first or was he in the top 3? I have to check.
He was Doug Wickenheiser was like 1980.
when Denny Savard went third.
Yeah.
No, Neil Broughton was 42nd overall.
Oh.
We're out to lunch.
I'm out to lunch.
How high was Aaron Broughton? Remember there was an Aaron Broughton as well?
Didn't Brian Lawton go first at some point?
Brian Lawton went first.
To Minnesota.
In 83 to Minnesota.
But it was Neil Broughton who was actually really good with Minnesota.
Yeah, Lawton didn't have a great career.
No.
It went Lawton, Sylvain Turgeon, Pat LaFontaine, Steve Yzerman, and Tom Barrasso.
Jeez.
And then even John McClain would have been better than Sylvain
Lefebvre.
Than Sylvain Turgeon or Brian Lawton. Neely went 9th. Norm Lacombe went 10th that year.
Norm Lacombe was a good player. Norm still lives in the city.
Yeah, but could you imagine getting either LaFontaine or Yzerman 3rd or 4th? Now, I guess you could say LaFontaine didn't bring the Islanders a cup. Yzerman eventually did in Detroit.
Yeah, but LaFontaine's career ended by concussions.
He got banged up.
Yeah,
but he was a very good player.
Yes, he was.
I got him on this team.
Rip City Step via the Nasty Chat says the Kessel disrespect with a hot dog.
Oh no, yeah, he could be there.
Yeah, he was very good too.
He could be again though. Who does he bump out of my top 12? I guess you could say maybe Kevin Stevens, but man, oh man, Kevin Stevens.
Stevens was really good.
Kevin Stevens was, yeah. Oh, here's a nice comment in the chat from Unsupported. Reed is like a big kid. He just can't help to express his immaturity.
I can't support Unsupported's messages. I've seen a couple of them. They're not very nice today.
All right.
Okay, that's fun. 780-218-9999. Get to the Nasty Chat as well. Tom Gazzola, Reid Wilkins here on the Oil Stream. Obviously portions of this hour brought to you by our good friends over at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. The Value Favorites meal. Reid devours the classic mini chicken sandwiches. He likes the blackened chicken wrap.
Yeah.
And he has become a big fan of the blackened cauliflower. Or is it cauliflower? Some people say cauliflower.
Well, now that you're making me think about it.
Cauliflower. Yeah.
Blackened cauliflower. That's what I said.
You can also get your five-piece nugs and your spicy or classic mini chicken wrap as well over at Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen. All right. I saw a text that came in from Matt Hyman that we want to address very quickly. It says, why do the Oilers choose to have so many preseason games? Is the revenue really worth it?
Well, I think right now you have to have at least 6, right?
Yeah, I think so.
I think most teams have 6, 7, or 8. I don't know the exact answer to that. Do you know? Other than they just keep doing it with these teams.
I know they want to maximize the revenue.
Yeah,
and I understand where Matt Hyman would look at it and go, "Why do you need 8 every year?" Because Oilers fans show up, and Oilers fans, when they show up to a game, drink beer, and having 14,500 people at Rogers Place on a Thursday in September, late September, and buy drinks and T-shirts and hats and jerseys and food, they will happily take that revenue.
I remember Todd McClellan saying once, because Todd was good with talking with media, even as a group or just individually off the record if he had some time. I didn't ever look this. So when would have he been there? He was on the one of the cup winning staffs, right?
But for the Red Wings?
Yeah.
2008.
I remember we were talking about preseason games with him, and he said in Detroit, we always played 8 preseason games. And I think he said that they would get like 6 of them at home. And it was like the Illiches were like, every game's $1 million, and we're not paying player salaries.
Yep.
But I don't know if they could have. You can't even find exhibition results when you look at the schedule. I guess they could be allowed to schedule more home than away if they because with the Oilers it's okay, we'll go there, you come here, type of thing. But I guess if Detroit could say, we'll play you Nashville, we don't want to go there, come for this. I don't know.
Well, easier for them being in the Eastern time zone and
maybe get a team to pop in and play a game.
Like who's going to a game in Carolina on September 24th?
What was the year Carolina played a preseason game here? Because they did their training
in Saskatoon.
In Banff or Jasper. Or Saskatoon.
That was like 2014, 2013.
It was that recent, eh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I remember we had to go for that game. It was very bizarre.
Oh, they played the Hurricanes in Saskatoon?
In Saskatoon.
Is that what it was?
Yeah.
Okay. So they weren't in Edmonton.
Or was that Chicago?
Yeah, there was a preseason game in Saskatoon. There's been a couple.
Yeah.
And wasn't there one in Regina? A few years ago?
Yeah.
No, maybe it was Saskatoon.
They did Saskatoon. They did Regina. We went down to Oklahoma City for one. They played Dallas down there. I remember that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So, hold on a second here.
What?
Rock 102 is pleased to present the Edmonton Oilers versus Carolina Hurricanes in NHL preseason action at SaskTel Center on Wednesday, September 27th, 2017. That's super recent, really.
Okay, that was one I was there for.
Wow. Okay, here's the Oilers. Here's the Oilers preseason schedule from 2017. So I was obviously well into doing the games.
Right.
Carolina came to Rogers Place, and then they played Carolina in Saskatoon.
That's
and then
right.
they had home and home against Vancouver, the Jets, and the Flames. So now the Oilers have added Seattle.
Correct.
Who did they used to play before that?
Minnesota a lot. I remember that.
Did they ever play San Jose preseason? I can't remember.
They wouldn't have gone to San Jose. But I do remember going to Minnesota and Minnesota coming here in the preseason. I remember being there the day Taylor Fadoon had his femur broken.
Oh, right.
That was awful.
Yeah, that's right.
That was absolutely awful. Yeah, they were in Mini a lot back then. I remember Tampa came and played a preseason game up here. That was strange. I think the Islanders were here at one point.
Man, preseason. So here's 2013 preseason. Split squad Calgary, at Winnipeg, at Vancouver, home to Winnipeg, home to the Rangers, against Dallas, neutral site. So that would have been Oklahoma City.
Yeah. And the Rangers
so the
won,
Rangers
I think
came
they were
through here.
I think they were doing a training camp in Banff.
Maybe that was them, right?
Because of
with
Glenn
the Sather connection and stuff. But so Carolina was out here one year, though. Much more recently than I remembered. Fun with preseason facts, everybody.
There you go. Preseason
Take those to your colleagues this afternoon.
Lovely. 780-218-9999. Getting to the chat. A couple of texts here. This one from Library Pat says, Warren, score against me, Skorodensky. Right. That's a deep pull. And then Library Pat follows up with Brian Lawton and Bobby Smith were the 2 first overall picks for the North Stars. Bobby Smith
won the cup with the Canadians in 86.
Yeah. And then went and played for Minnesota.
I think he went Minnesota, Montreal, back to Minnesota.
Yeah. Because he went to the Cup final.
That 91 team that was really bad until the last third of the season, and then they put it together.
They beat Edmonton in the conference final.
Yeah.
Got their asses kicked by Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Baggio says, I love that goal, the Gretzky one in 88. Get chills every time I see it. And I have another one here. I know we will get to the coaching stuff right away here, but Todd Gack says, Reid doesn't remember because he was making some sort of all-time list. What is that in regard to? The goals that we're talking about?
Bro, the preseason probably.
Oh, preseason.
That I don't remember all the preseason games.
Yeah. Well, those preseason games is just kind of
I do not.
melt together.
I have a pretty good memory for some stuff, especially when you're watching all the games.
Yeah.
And for the home games, we're lucky enough to see them in person. But now there's a lot of games up there in my brain, plus all the games I watched before I was covering the team. So definitely I don't leave a lot of storage space in the hard drive for preseason.
You don't want to waste too much RAM on a preseason game, if you will.
Do they still use RAM?
I don't know.
They must. Or is it all in the cloud?
Good point. Juan wants to know what line is Gordon Bombay on. That's a great reference.
Fifth
line for sure. And then RCN says a 14 and 15-year-old RCN was in Norm Lacomb's Hockey Impact training program one summer, even spent a night or two at Norm's place with his wife, which wasn't weird, but in hindsight kind of is. LOL. No, Norm's he's a really good guy. He's got a great family, and he coaches, and I know he was in the Czech Republic coaching. He's a hockey guy through and through. Okay, and I want to get to one more for who was it? It was Oily Doughboy. I haven't heard from Oily Doughboy in a while. Oily Doughboy, any updates on the third jerseys? Yeah, I'm getting more people asking about these. I think I said it somewhere. They're white, okay? Like they're off-white. That's the only other update. I've been sworn to secrecy on them. I have seen them. I thought they're awesome. They're like nothing you've seen before. I have no idea when they're going to release them. I could tell you this. Oilers staff was burnt out at the end of the Cup final, and I feel like people are away on holidays, although the work is already underway to get next season going, and I'm sure they're working on season tickets because they always like to make sure they have that in place, but I don't know when they're going to unveil them. They're not orange, and they are not a throwback to any look that they've had before. That's all I can tell you.
You have seen them.
I have seen them. The whole, yeah.
Are there different pants and socks too?
Yeah, but yes, but they're blue.
They're not blue.
They are blue.
I thought they said they were white. Well, the pants are blue.
The jerseys are off-white.
Jerseys are off-white.
The pants and the gloves and the helmet are blue.
So do you think they'll ever do an orange jersey again?
I don't see why not. I think they've kind of oranged out lately, though.
Yeah.
What do you think?
That's a lot of fans wear orange.
It looks good.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You're way more into that jersey stuff.
I'm a nerd for that stuff.
I mean, I like talking about it to some extent,
Yeah.
but I can't remember everything or every place the stripe was or what year they had.
I'm having difficulty remembering the stripes like perfectly right now, but it's different. It's a different looking stripe system.
Okay.
And the logos are like we've never seen before.
Oh, the oil drop's not on them?
I will not say.
Okay. Interesting.
Anyway, I think they're going to be popular. They're going to be different. I think the Oilers did a good job with them.
Good. I like the Heritage Classic jerseys a lot.
Those were great.
I thought those were great.
Yeah, even the brown/tan pants and gloves people warmed up too.
Yeah, some people didn't like that, but I thought, why not? Why not do something a little different?
It's a throwback to the 52 Mercuries.
Oh, right.
That's what color the pants and the gloves were for those guys.
Yeah.
When they won.
Yeah.
So
can I tell you something about those?
Please do.
So when I was talking to somebody about them, because remember they had the oil drop with the number in the front?
Yep.
And, someone was explaining to me the significance of some of the things on the jersey. And then I said, and that's cool. Like you put the number on the front of the jersey because that's what football teams do. And they're playing in the football stadium. Mm-hmm. And this person was like, yeah, say that too. So that wasn't part of the design. But when I brought that up, they were like, oh, that's really clever, Reid. Yeah. Say that we thought of that.
Yeah. Well, since we're giving away little secrets about that game and the aesthetic of the team, I was talking to then PR man Sean May, now with the LA Kings, and Kate Doyle, who's the director of team services. And they were thinking of how they have the players walk in with a certain look.
Yeah.
Like if you play at Fenway Park, you wear an old baseball uniform, right? Pittsburgh and Boston did that. That kind of thing. The Flames walked in with overalls and cowboy hats and cowboy boots.
Nothing underneath.
Yeah, that was
enough. Yeah.
Okay. No thanks. But they were thinking of what to do for the Oilers, and I was like, why don't you do the rig worker from the old jersey? And they just did, why don't we do people who work on the rigs with the way they dress now, with the coveralls and the helmet and the glasses and the big boots? And it was a smash hit. You still see groups of people dressing up like that.
That was your idea?
I want to take, I planted the seed, I feel like.
How far before the game?
This was in the summer months.
Holy crap.
Yeah.
Tom. I didn't know that.
Yeah. I told Sean May, I'm like, why don't you remember that old logo that was on the shoulders of the old jerseys with the rig worker pulling the hockey stick? Do that. Make them dress like that. That's cool. It's a nod to what our fine men and women do up north.
The problem with what the Flames did was that they came in bare-shouldered and bare-armed.
Yeah.
As opposed to hey, I have never worked on a farm or on a ranch, but I certainly know people who have, and they dress intelligently, which wouldn't probably be like being bare all the time because you got to protect your skin and elements and stuff like
bugs.
That. So like a lot of people said they looked like male performers,
they kind of did.
Who would come on stage with coveralls and very little underneath. Anyway.
So there's that.
Zedmo says, I hope Jeff Skinner stays. I thought they misused him last year. Not his fault. Prolific goal scorer, even on crappy Buffalo team. Zedmo, I'm going to ask you a question here, and I'm looking deep into your eyes because I assume you're watching on YouTube. At what point during the 2024-25 season did you watch Jeff Skinner on the Oilers and say to yourself, my God, he looks like a prolific goal scorer? Just list the game for me. And if your reply is, Knoblauch misused him and kept him, didn't he play 72 games?
Yeah.
Okay.
You feisty.
Done.
Love it.
I'm done.
Love it. Love it. All right. We have a few more minutes. Whoever did the sidebar for the oil stream today says, today, coaching decisions. Yes, I suppose we should hit on that. We will. Do you have the liner for Play Alberta? I don't have it here.
I'll get it.
You can get it from me. Send that to me.
Well, you just read it, actually.
Yeah, you can read it because we'll do the numbers game.
Presented by
Play Alberta.
Play Alberta, your home for online gaming excitement featuring casino games, live dealer action, lottery, instants, and sports betting. Now with the new Play Alberta app, you can take the fun with you anywhere. Download the app or sign up today at playalberta.ca.
All right, here we go. I'm going to start with a text. This is the numbers game. Ontario Mom says, I just tuned in. I predict it will be Dave Hackstall coming in. I know him and Kris Knoblauch have a connection. He has to be a head coach. He actually brought him into Philly, I believe. So Hackstall connection with Knoblauch. Knoblauch was an assistant in Philly. Small town guys. One out of Sask. Dave Hackstall is Thorsby, I believe. Is it Thorsby?
Or is he another Warburg guy?
Or Warburg, yeah. My bad. Apologies, Warburg.
Let me check.
I think you're right. It's like him and Lindy Ruff, right?
He was born in Drayton Valley.
But grew up in Warburg?
I thought that was the connection.
So anyway, once we hammer that down, I think you're right. I was going to say to you, Reed, like, how many new coaches will be on the staff, in your opinion, this year coming up?
Oh, that's a good question.
Whether or not it's Hackstall or not.
Yeah, he grew up on a farm near the small town of Warburg. Dave Hackstall.
Okay.
I have. Okay, so here's the thing. What would a reason be for Knoblauch wanting to change somebody? Of the four main guys, well, okay, himself, he's back.
Yeah.
Now, Coffey's an interesting one because he was kind of, our belief is, put there by the owner as much as anything. So does Knoblauch really even have say there?
I think Paul can do whatever Paul wants to do because he is second in command of this franchise.
So he might be able to say, okay, I was on the bench, I don't really want to do it.
Yeah. I was a little bit surprised he came back behind the bench last year, but I think
you thought he might step away even after the 3/4 of a year?
Yeah.
No, Stewart. Now, the PK was terrible.
All year long. They had like a good month.
But he was also the coach of the good PK that went to the other Stanley Cup
That's
final.
Correct.
And would you say he works a lot with the defense as well?
I think he is the X's and I know he's the X's and O's guy for the defense.
I don't know.
He was brought in prior to Knoblauch, obviously, was given more responsibility under Knoblauch.
Right.
I think Mark Stewart was a Jay Woodcroft connection. I believe. Did they spend time together in San Jose? Or am I thinking of Brad Stewart?
I can't remember. Yeah, and then there's the bigger picture. Will they change the goaltending coach? That decision might come from Bowman as much as anybody else.
Right.
And then I don't know if you'd bundle in video coaches and strength and conditioning coaches and people like that. I'll say 2. I'll put out the number 2, but I'm not sure exactly which 2 it's going to be.
I think 2 is fair. What say you? 780-218-9999. Who do you think it's going to be? Do you think it'll be Dave Haxtell, like Hontorio Moms predicted? Will it be someone else?
Peter DeBoer.
Wouldn't that be something?
Peter DeBoer. Okay, so the question is, the guys who have been head coaches, would they take assistant coaching jobs? I mean, some guys purely see themselves as head coaches and wouldn't take an assistant coaching job unless it was for a really close friend and they knew that if they had most of them would have outs in their contracts anyway, but they knew that the team going in was like, hey, I might leave in December if something comes open. Mm-hmm. I'm leaving. No, Haxtell. So was Haxtell only in Seattle for a year?
No, Bilesma only lasted a year.
Bilesma. Right. So did Haxtell not work last year?
I think he was scouting for someone because I saw him in the press box a few times.
Right.
Didn't you talk to him?
I don't think so. Like interview him?
No, just like talk to him. Didn't you like talk to him about Derek Laxdal?
No, I talked to Bilesma. I talked to Bilesma and Everett Fitzhugh.
Right.
And I had an awkward moment with them because I said, hey, I caught up with Derek Laxdal, and Bilesma was like, yeah, that's the previous coach. I'm the coach. I was like, no, that's not what I said. And then it was like super awkward. But I was mostly talking to Everett Fitzhugh, the play-by-play guy.
Right. Everett's a great guy.
He's an awesome guy. Yeah. I have a lot of awkward moments with people, though. I'm used to
the best of us. Happens to the best of us. Okay, I'm just looking at like some of the coaches that are available, like Laviolette, obviously. Greg Cronin was let go. Tortorella's done. Luke Richardson got hired, I think, in Nashville as an assistant. Bilesma's available, although he lasted 1 year in Seattle. I don't know what Seattle's doing, by the way. They hired Lane Lambert. Pete DeBoer is available. I suppose Drew Bannister is available after almost a year as head coach of the St. Louis Blues. There's way more guys who are head coach or assistant coaches now that were head coaches. Like I saw, oh man. In Vegas, I think Claude Julien was an assistant coach this year. Like Jacques Martin has been an assistant coach a million times.
Yeah.
Guys, you're like, that guy is, in my mind, a head coach's head coach. And I think they just love being around the game, get paid decently, and don't mind doing it. To the person
shouting at us in the nasty chat, there has not been any announcements from Stan Bowman about the coaching staff.
That's right. Who's shouting at us? CQ.
Someone claiming that they've already changed the goalie coaches.
No.
I think Elliot Friedman who's very plugged in, has speculated that.
Right. They have not announced anything.
We've talked about nothing has been announced with the goalie coach or anybody other than Gulletson leaving.
Right.
So
there has been nothing announced.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So we'll see. We'll see. Hopefully we'll get that maybe next week even. I mean, I think they would
maybe.
Because there is a point, I think they're already at the point where they work a little less.
Yep.
And then probably by the end of the second week of July. Well, there was still the end of development camp yesterday. Right?
Yep.
So today would probably already be slower. So I would imagine over the next few days, Bowman and Knoblauch will really talk about it.
I've been told that Knoblauch has been working at it already.
Well, right, and he would have more time to do that than the GM.
Yeah.
So because then I think usually from certainly mid-July to mid-August, that's when they really try to
lock something
have their
up.
Time away, vacation time, family time, cottage/cabin time/lake time. I always wonder when people say, well, I'm going to the lake, as if there's only one lake in the world. I'm going to the lake.
It's their lake.
I guess, yeah. You're actually going to a lake.
Correct.
Yeah, or you should specify the lake. Jay Onright was on my show last night talking about Cold Lake, how he thinks they just ran out of names for naming lakes. And they're like, I don't know, Waterfeld Cold Lake.
Cold Lake, yep. Sylvan Lake. I like Sylvan Lake.
Goodness.
Also known as Snake Lake. They've got a brewery out there.
Right.
Really quickly, Jonathan Toews introduced as the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets. I know they signed him a while ago, but what do you think of that?
The news conference was today.
Yeah.
Of that photo?
Yeah.
Could be a little closer up. Well, that's just some person at the news conference putting out a photo.
Yes. But Taves,
it's kind of a no risk thing for the Jets, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if he's at the point where he can't play effectively, they're not giving him, $8-10 million.
Yep.
And if he comes in and is effective, and here's the thing, he doesn't in Chicago. He had to be one of the 3 or 4 best players on the team.
Right.
On this team, he does not have to be. If he's and we've seen how a veteran presence can help the Oilers. If you want to say what Perry brought,
Duncan Keith
the last couple of years, even the year Keith was here.
Yeah.
Ekholm, even I know he's not quite as old as Taves and didn't win cups, but
Right.
I think I'd put him in kind of that wise category. So yeah, I think that's a low risk, possibly high reward move for the Jets. So that's a massive loss losing Ehlers. I mean, he's a talented player.
I know.
That's a lot of goals out of the lineup. And the Oilers have lost goals this offseason too.
Absolutely they have. But like with the Ehlers, and I know it was a sad day, quote unquote, for Winnipeg yesterday, and the Bombers' loss only heightened that. But we knew the speculation around Ehlers for like a year and something, like a year plus, that he was probably leaving. Also interesting, Taves, Cheveldayoff, and Arneal wearing Jets polos with the old Winnipeg Jets logo on them.
They're not switching, are they?
I don't think so. They have those throwbacks, which I think are fantastic.
Right.
I
like the new logo. I like those new Jets jerseys.
So I don't like the jersey. I like the logo.
Okay. It's an airplane flying north.
Because they are Winnipeg. And they're owned by True North.
Yeah, which they yell out during the anthem.
They really do.
I hate when that happens.
They really,
just in general,
really do. It is bizarre. All right, we'll wrap things up with a few texts. Tom and Reed with you, and then we'll get to Koob. He's standing by. Got EST Afternoons happening right away. This is, of course, the Oil Stream, brought to you by Boston Pizza. Big thank you to Popeye's Louisiana Kitchen, as well as our good friends over at Play Alberta. Waddy in Cloverdale says Hackstall would be a good replacement for Gullitz and maybe a big-time goalie coach change. That's from Waddy. Kurt in the Park, dealing with Eric, getting tickets. Collingwood Rob says, bring in Filthy Bruce.
Does he want to?
I don't think so. I think he's having a fun time doing media and analyzing. I know he's on, once every couple of weeks with us and on the morning show. I think he's fantastic. I think he's just a good person, good character too.
Yeah.
Nice personality.
Easy says Oilers lost 36% of their 5v5 goal scorers from last year, replaced with Savoy, Tomasek, Mangiapane. Easy, I don't know if you were listening the other day when I broke that down, that the Oilers scored 259 goals last season, and I couldn't get close to that total with my projections for this year. And that was giving, Mangiapane 15, Frederick 15, and I kind of bundled some players together.
Yeah.
But I got to 200 goals, and then I said, now you need 60 goals from players who have never scored at that rate in the NHL or have never even played a lot in the NHL.
How many did you have penciled in for Hyman and Nugent-Hopkins?
So I think I did Hyman, Nuge, Draisaitl, and McDavid as a group of 4 and got to 130. They were at 125 last year.
Okay, well, Hyman should have an uptick.
And here's the thing. Okay. McDavid scored 26. He scored, 62, 64 that one year?
Yeah. He should be good for 30 to 40.
And I hope Hyman gets 30.
Yeah.
I don't think he's going to score over 50 again like he did that one year, but I hopefully he can get in the 30s. Now, Nuge is the thing, though. I mean, he got to 20. He doesn't always get to 20.
That's true.
So I put those 4 guys for 130. So that was half of last year's team total. Okay, last year they scored 125 out of 259, almost half. And then if you want to get to 260 again, those guys would have to score about half of them. No, that's a fair comment too about the offense. I think that's usually with this team we've talked about goaltending and defense and preventing goals, which we will discuss. But I think where the goals come from might be a bigger offseason story here.
Valid. All right, Ice Cube. What do you got coming up on EST Afternoons?
Tons of stuff today. Zach to the future, as we do every single Friday. Some trivia that Hernan and Gager will be testing me with. Tons of Oilers, Elks, NHL, F1, Blue Jays discussion all around the world of sports. Matt Iwanek, host of the Green and Gold Kickoff Show, and of course, the EST Hangout will be checking in at 1:20, and we got Inside the Numbers for Play Alberta at 2 o'clock.
Fantastic. Wilkie, what do you got coming up on the Reid Wilkins Show?
Ben, he's going to do blind rankings with me.
Okay.
Jake Serezna from the Elks.
Excellent.
And the young guy who's touching 100 miles per hour on the radar gun for the Riverhawks, Carson Latimer.
Fantastic.
Same name as a former Oil King who now plays hockey for UBC. Not the same person, oddly enough.
I love it. Good Edmonton sports connection there. It's going to be a great show on Reid Wilkins' show with Jay Milne, and then another fantastic edition of the EST Afternoons coming up next. That's going to do it for the Oil Stream. A big thank you to everybody who watched and listened. We appreciate you very, very much. Wilkie, good job today. Thank you, buddy. Coop, thank you as well. For the boys, I'm Tom saying enjoy the rest of your Friday. Keep it locked to Edmonton Sports Talk. Coming up next, EST Afternoons. See you later.